context, purpose, results, and actions. Our context for this event is outrageously fun, collective wisdom, inspiring legacy. And that's what we're doing, is we want to get to a point where we inspire legacy going forward. So we want to do these events and more events and support each other and build friendships and relationships. And that's what it's all about.
You're not, but so he is on a 5 a.m. call on the West Coast, and so yeah, we're not taking this lightly. I mean, we are in the sense it's going to be a lot of fun, but we're very serious about having a memorable production for men. Many men.
Hello and welcome to this, our interview of the Gathering of the Clans Rocky Mountain Rhino, a weekend-long event near Calgary, September 26th through 28th in 2025. My name is Justin Labarge, producer of The Legacy magazine, along with my partner, Daniel Kepner, author and editor of The Legacy magazine. Kepner, good to see you, my friend.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here.
All right. Our guests right now are the leaders of the Gathering of the Clans Rocky Mountain Rhino, Jason McLeod, the Rhino Master, and David Macelwain, the Enrollment Master. Welcome, you men.
Hello.
Hello. Good to be here.
And we're here to have a discussion on this upcoming event. And to kick things off, I will pass this off to my partner, Kepner.
Well, thanks, Labarge. So for years, I've been hearing about this thing called a rhino. And, you know, men going to a rhino, or they're coming back from a rhino, or they were reminiscing about a rhino. But maybe you men can tell me, since I have not been to one, what the hell is a rhino?
So Rhino started back in about 94, I believe. Brad Leslie, who's one of the originators of such things, basically, it was an opportunity for men, or rather sponsors, who were, around for a weekend, a men's weekend, and didn't have anything to do. What would they do for the weekend that their sponsees were in doing the men's weekend? And so rhinos were kind of given as an opportunity for those sponsors to gather and do something as well. And, since then, which is, I went to my first rhino in 99. I believe the first rhino was in 94, but I went to one in 99. And since that time, rhinos have separated themselves from, distinctly the men's weekend, but are basically weekend events to gather men around a certain theme and certain exercises to accomplish getting to know each other better or themselves.
Can you tell me a little bit about what that looks like? So, are you at a 5-star hotel? Are you, out in the outback? What happens, and how do men? What will the experience be like? The men that attend.
So, every rhino that I've attended, which has been 4 or 5 of them, 6 or 7 of them now, everyone has its own different theme, and each rhino master and or production men, determine what their particular rhino looks like. And usually it's camping, might be at a campground of some sort, or it might be at some sort of kids camp or something like that. Or it might be just on kind of raw land, and they'll have a theme that's going on with events that are related to that theme around, introspection of who they are as men and what they how they show up in the world.
A couple of things. I was not around long enough that I actually got to go to one of the original formats that Mr. McLeod talked about. It was during a men's weekend in San Francisco, and we all were kind of directed out of town to this weekend event, and so it was, I think probably one of the last rhinos that was of that original format, and but the idea was to get together and to help men to be more of the man that they wanted to be and at that time, and I've been to maybe 8 or 10 rhinos since, and every one I've been somewhat challenged, because there's challenging activities. We men have to kind of dig deep generally, but I've always had fun, and the
Mm.
food has always been great. But fun is when people ask me as the enrollment manager, why should I come? And I'll say 3 reasons: fun, fun, fun. So we have fun, and men get away to be with men and kind of leave it all behind. So that's what happens. So one of the things that happens at a Rhino, we drop it all and become, and in our particular situation, even though there is an emergency phone number, there is no cell service. So we're literally going to let it all be behind us for a few days. Right, McLeod?
That's correct.
Yeah.
I'm it sounds like I'm going to be lying on a bunch of rocks and no emergency service. I don't know. Tell me about, will I be safe?
Maybe. I mean, all of the participants, all of us, man. I mean, it's our responsibility to take care of each other, and that's a whole lot of different forms. And so, the environment we're going to be operating in is about 2 hours from the Calgary airport, so YYC. It's west of Sundre. It's in the Rocky Mountains. Um, the area is absolutely spectacular and
Picturesque.
beautiful. And we actually at an old YMCA camp that's been converted into a horse riding, trail riding camp. And so there are going to be some creature comforts for those that can't sleep on the sleeping pad on the ground, sort of thing, i.e. tenting it. And but we do have some better accommodations for those who actually require better accommodations for such, or if men have health issues like sleep apnea and they need to have their CPAP with them, then we have power for that. So in our activities, I'm gearing it around, or we are gearing it around, the ability for those who can run and jump and play hard, then there's activity for that. And for those who can't, because they got mobility issues or, endurance issues or whatever, we also have activity for them in the main activity. So in other words, just because you got a bum knee or, you got a bad back or what have you, or you're in a wheelchair, doesn't mean you're now relegated to sitting around a campfire. We're going to have you participating as well. And so, this is for all levels of ability as well as pretty much all ages. Now, our cutoff is 18. We'll go down to 16 if a father's there with a son who's been exposed to the, men's team type stuff. And he feels that his son's mature enough, but generally it's 18 plus all the way to whatever. And come to our event and we'll take care of you. We'll take care of you.
Thank you. So how many men are you anticipating will attend this event? And are you still looking for more men to come?
Oh, hell yeah. We're always looking for more. So back in 2004, I ran the Rocky Mountain Rhino Gathering of the Clans.
We did.
We did. Thank you. Yeah, McLeod was there. He was one of my men.
There was a
And
lot of us.
yeah, there was 134 of us. And that was the biggest rhino run in North America for many, many years at that. There had been bigger ones prior, but it had been a while since there had been a large one. And I don't know that there's been one larger since. For this one, we're gunning for at least 150, and we're probably going to cap it at about 200 for logistical reasons more than any other reasons. But so we're sitting at about 70 odd right now, and we're still 33 days out right now on August the 24th. So we got some work to do, but we have plenty of space, and we're leaving it open for men to come. You made a reference about the older men, and we all I think recognize that there's far too many white hairs and blue hairs and no hairs. I happen to be one of them. That we need to bring in the younger men, to bring in the blue blood, to bring in the men that are going to carry our caskets, because that's what the men have head smashed in Calgary have devoted ourselves to carrying each other's caskets. And so some of us are getting too old to do that. And so we need to bring in more younger men. So bring the young, bring the cousins, bring the nephews, bring, your neighbors' sons, bring your sons. Those are the men we also want there. So that's a vital, important thing as well.
Just on that note, I remember the last Rhino that the one that we did in 2004, and both of my sons were there, and
Mm.
and um, and it was what a deal. I mean, this time one of my sons lives in Asia, and the other son is moving that weekend. They bought a new home, and so but I'll tell you, being at this kind of an event with your brother or with your son or with your dad is
Hmm.
is and it is an amazing experience to do something together, and we honor that.
Yeah.
Of course, we honor fathers. We always have, and so for me personally, being there with my sons in the past has been pretty amazing.
When my father was at the RMR 04, he has since passed about a year and a half ago. And I'll have my younger brother at the RMR 25 or 25.
Oh wow, yeah.
So we got the inspiration of the Rhino Master. But I guess my other question is, I mean, it's $250 to attend this thing, and you're going to be camping as the main accommodations, from what I gather, and hanging out with a bunch of men having fun. Um, why would a man pay that much to fly out there or drive out there or whatever, however he gets there, and camp with a bunch of men? That's question A. And question B is, we've mentioned this started as the Sterling Men's Weekend sort of analog. While that was happening, there's an MDI Rhino you just mentioned. Who is there an organization? Where does the money go? Who gets it? What does it do? Um,
Yeah. So let's stick with the first question you had there around what do you get for your 250 per se? Because, this is probably the most expensive rhino that's been run. I think down in Oak or in Atlanta, they did 170 US last year, which would equal 250 Canadian. But, a lot of rhinos I've been to over the last few years are good. They have a theme, they have some associated, activities, and it's kind of, it's a fun camping weekend away with a bunch of men that you may or may not know. And, you know, okay, it's good. But not a lot of them have been repeatable, as in, I wouldn't go and do it again. Whereas I've done my best to put layers and layers and layers of meaning and purpose into all the activities and all of the programming that we're going to wind up doing. And so, men are going to get, from the time they reach YYC or Calgary Airport International, we will pick them up. We will, be shuttling them out to the actual site itself. Those that are coming from, elsewhere, our transport accommodations will make sure that they have accommodation, whether that be, a tent sort of in sleeping pads or cots or whatever, to bunk beds at a teepee, to actual physical beds in a cabin if they're, do actually physically need creature comforts. And so, we have the accommodation ability right now for about 90 men, like actually to put men in beds. And then on top of that is camping and men who want to drive and do their RV thing or do their own tenting thing or what have you. And so, transport accommodation is a huge thing. We will take care of pretty much anything for men who end up coming from a distance and making it worth their while that way. The food we have is going to be spectacular. So Chef Michael Noble, he owns two amazing restaurants in Calgary. He was represented the Canadian Olympic culinary team. He was the culinary coach for the Olympic team for many years after. He was the only Canadian, or the first Canadian, to run on the Iron Chef show. And he is our culinary master. And he's got another, chef that's along with him, Stephen Munns. And those two have put together a team for our food. And so, just to give you for instance, is that $75 of our $250 registration is going to food. And he being Michael Noble, has already told me he can come in under budget, like 63. And I've told him, great. and take the extra $12 and make it even better. So we're going to be eating silly, silly food, which will cover everybody from, the meat eaters, which of course he specializes in, to the, vegetarian types
Going to be
and to
some
the
meat.
vegan types, right? The vegan types, I've got a couple of personal friends that are coming that are vegans. They will also be taken care of. So, you got food allergies taken care of. You got, preferences mostly taken care of. So the food's going to be extraordinary. And then on top of that, we have programming set from Friday evening. We're going to do our opening ceremony at 9 on Friday night, and all the way through till Sunday around 3 o'clock. So, full programming and activities and events and it's going to be, it's going to be an event.
So I just want to add that there's some value in not us not going too deep in what the programming is. Lavarge and I have talked about this before around men's team, and this is going to be a spiritual experience.
Mm-hmm.
Men are going to have a oh my God experience, and we don't want to give it all away. There's some of this you're going to have to trust that we're creating something that is going to be talked about for a long time, and so we don't want to give the minutia of that here, but there's some stuff that McLeod's not speaking of that's going to be, it really is going to be a kind of an oh my God experience. So, yeah, but I actually have a buddy that two buddies. I've said, look, if you're not happy, I'll give you your money back. I know that this is going to be that kind of an event where, it's a deal at twice the price. I think if men are listening, they've got an intuition that they want to come, but they're nervous or their egos giving them a bunch of reasons not to. That's the reason to come, and get exposed, challenge yourself, being out of your comfort zone with 150 men. Maybe
See
you
you
don't
guys.
know
Take care of
anybody.
yourself.
Maybe you don't know anybody. Just come, and you're going to leave with a whole group of new friends. We're going to fall in love with the men, and falling in love with the men is the spiritual experience.
This is an event that I've been stressing so many men to bring their men. Don't come alone. Right? This is an opportunity for, if you're uncomfortable, bring somebody else who might be uncomfortable and go through the discomfort together. And the discomfort is, committing and jumping in. And then once you're there, you don't know what's going on necessarily. And we ain't going to tell you until it's happening. And a bunch of it you're going to have to figure out. Right. And that's also part of the process. And know that it's all engineered that way, and that we're going to create a challenging and secure environment for men to be able to experience, how they show up in the world. And one of the things I probably should have mentioned right from the very beginning was that, the theme for this particular event is legacy. Where you were, where you are, and where you're going. So, for the men who were at the Rocky Mountain Rhino in '04, which, there's probably going to be 30 or 40 or 50 of us that have, or maybe 30 or 40, right, that have been there. Like 20 years ago, where the hell was I? Like for myself, for instance, where am I now, and where do I want to be in 15 or 20 years? And so, along with that idea of legacy, is that I have the intention of running this same Rhino 10 years from now, and then running it 10 years after that, with a very, very similar theme and a very similar, there might be a change to the theme overall, but, it's all about legacy. And, this isn't going to be a sit around and kumbaya and pat each other on the back and, like talk about our feelings and cry all the time type stuff. This is going to be active, and it's going to be fun, and it's going to be, outrageous fun. That's actually in our context. And so, for those who know what a context is, or knows what, CPRA, so context, purpose, results, and actions. Our context for this event is outrageously fun, collective wisdom, inspiring legacy. And that's what we're doing, is we want to get to a point where we inspire legacy going forward. So we want to do these events and more events, and support each other and build friendships and relationships. And that's what it's all about. So bring them out. Bring your men. Bring your cousins. Bring your nephews. Bring your brothers. Bring your fathers. Bring your next door neighbor. Bring the men that could really use an opportunity to drop the mask, be real, and get to know themselves.
Thank you, man. Thank you, McLeod. Thank you, McElwain.
And
Awesome. Thank you for the time.
that is the Rocky Mountain Rhino Gathering of the Clans,
Yeah.
northwest of Calgary, September 26th through the 28th, 2025. $175 for men 30 and under. Is that Canadian dollars?
Yeah.
Canadian dollars.
Canadian dollars. $250 for men 31 and over. Go to rmr25.ca to register online, find answers to any questions, and to get your ass inspired.
Hoorah.
Absolutely.
McLeod McElwain, we thank you for visiting us today and
Yeah.
to tell us about your awesome event. My name is Justin Labarge, along with my partner, Daniel Kepner. We thank you for watching us, and we hope to see you there.
Awesome.
You
See you
will
men in a
see.
month.
Okay.